Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. Live look around the region as we are expecting our next weather maker. It should move in by this afternoon, so get ready for a soggy start to your work week and your game day. For now, we're dry, but prepare with an umbrella or extra coat if you're heading out later. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us this Sunday, December 17th. I'm Taylor Stewart, and as we just talked about, that weather maker rolling through. Let's get to your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with a system that's clearly brewing.
Yeah, big one, and we're already getting the mist out there, really, Taylor, so I think we're going to kind of damp the first part of the day, but the real rain shows up this afternoon and certainly into the evening tonight. Coastal storm making its run out of the Gulf Coast, now running up the eastern seaboard on a collision course with Maryland later today. At least the core of that storm is. And right now we've got temperatures in the upper 40s. Those numbers are going to float up to the upper 50s once again today. But it's not so much about a temperature forecast, right? This is about rain, a lot of rain, and even a lot of wind coming in as we go from tonight into the day on Monday. So, you know, some spots could pick up as much as 3 inches of rain out of the system. It's a lot of rain, but it will be over a prolonged stretch of hours. So that should minimize the flash flood concerns, but nonetheless, a lot of rain coming in. Mid-50s today with those rain showers. We'll talk about the setup as we go into Monday and beyond coming up.
Think about if you're at a light and somebody comes up to you with a gun and gunpoint with you and want to take your car. Not only have they just devastated you, but can you imagine what you might be going through for the rest of your life?
Continuing coverage this morning on a Southwest Baltimore gathering to discuss juvenile crime. Mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon was present in that conversation. Vincent Hill has more on why she believes collaboration between two top prosecutors in the state is key to curtailing the uptick in juvenile crime.
Inside the Merle Park Community Center, a prayer.
God, we are losing so many of our children and our family members, God, that we're asking that you rain down on this city, God.
Amen. And a discussion about juvenile violence.
What we got right now? Carjackings, strong arm robberies.
In attendance, one of the relatives of a juvenile you first heard about on Fox 45.
So I have a cousin, he's in Dreary now. It was on the news 2 weeks ago. They robbed and jacked a woman for her car. They had a gun in the car. They caught him around Mondana.
Also in attendance,
But you got my vote.
mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon.
In this upcoming session that's about to happen at the legislators based on all this juvenile crime,
Touching on the upcoming legislative session focused on juvenile crime.
now people are taking a hard stance on juveniles. Not only about making them accountable, but they want to see a hard response happen to these juveniles.
Two of the people taking that hard stance.
What could we do united to, hopefully fix the problems that we're suffering together?
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy.
I think it's a really good beginning and a good strategy and plan moving forward. And I think now is the time to really educate the community about what they are attempting to do and making and tweaking some of the legislation.
Dixon calling the collaboration between Bates and Braveboy beneficial.
And I think it only can benefit us long term in trying to deal with the accountability with our juveniles.
Well, Bates and Braveboy are proposing a number of changes to how the state handles juvenile crime. They want to increase probation for teens charged with gun possession or car theft. They also want DJS to immediately notify the courts when a young person on home monitoring violates probation. Ivan Bates specifically saying he wants to see changes to the Child Interrogation Protection Act. This law requires an attorney to approve law enforcement questioning, even if a juvenile's parent gives the okay. Bates wants to require an attorney be present during the questioning. Now, both prosecutors acknowledge there will likely not be any changes to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which prevents kids 13 and younger from facing most charges. Despite that, they say they're confident other changes will be successful.
Do you think there'll be support and appetite to make these changes in the General Assembly?
I think so. I think that a lot of the topics that we're hitting on are near and dear to many of our legislators and they should be, because they're near and dear to our constituents.
At the end of the day, we serve the people. And this isn't just what we want. This is what the people have told us they want.
Bates and Brave Boy are just two of more than a dozen top prosecutors across Maryland calling for changes to the juvenile justice system. They say the current laws leave their hands tied and allow young people to act without fear of consequences.
So what we're realizing when we talk to the young people is that young people, the juveniles, know there's nothing that we can do.
We can't charge them. I mean, essentially, if they are found to have committed the crime, the police just have to drive them home. I mean, that's really all we can do.
We can only hope that they'll not listen to just folks like me or my 23 colleagues across the state or the chief prosecutors in their counties, but hopefully they'll listen to their citizens, because their citizens are saying the exact same thing. Enough's enough.
Police are sharing another perspective on the laws with Fox 45 News, saying they impact their ability to do their everyday jobs.
Kids get out of the car, and the minute you stop them and you pull them aside, the first thing they say to you is, "Are you going to call my mother?" Because they know they're not. They know they're underage, and they know they can't get in trouble.
It would be like legislature raising the speed limit to 100 miles per hour on interstate highways and then questioning why we're not writing more speeding tickets on the interstate.
Parents are also demanding change at the state level. Some telling Fox 45 News kids believe they can get away with just about anything.
But if we're just going to look at them and say, well, they're too young to know the wrong that they've done, that is not for Baltimore. That is not for Maryland, because kids in this city, in this states, are still committing crime.
And they're teenagers. They know what they're doing. They know right from wrong. They need to start locking these kids up. They need to change the laws.
Well, tomorrow, Senate President Bill Ferguson will have a town hall to address juvenile crime and public safety. DJS Secretary Vincent Schiraldi will be present. Now, Schiraldi says he doesn't believe anyone under 25 should be exposed to the criminal justice system. While the governor has called Schiraldi a reformer, others say his views make the state less safe.
You're basically saying up until the age of 25, which is what he wants to do, you get a free ride.
Unfortunately, legislators, lawmakers, have decided that it's better to support the lawbreakers rather than those who are enforcing the law.
Fox 45 News will be at Monday's town hall to hold elected leaders accountable for the crime issues, and we'll keep you updated here on air and online. If you feel like your crime concerns are not being heard, go ahead and reach out to your lawmakers. House Speaker Adrian Jones and Senate President Bill Ferguson, these are two of the most powerful lawmakers in Annapolis. Their phone numbers and email addresses are listed on your screen. And of course, Fox 45 News is hosting our own town hall on public safety this upcoming week. We invite you to join us here, where City Councilman Eric Costello, mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon will be amongst those on our panel. It takes place Wednesday, December 20th at 7 p.m. at the Leiden Hall Baptist Church. BGE customers, brace yourselves for some higher electric bills. Fox 45 breaks down how much more you'll have to pay over the next 3 years as reaction continues to roll in from customers.
I'm White Everett. Off to kind of a misty start this morning. The main rain still south of us down here into the Carolinas. We'll talk about when the core of the storm arrives. It's coming up here on Fox 45.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Trending this morning, Baltimore joined into the National Wreaths Across America Day, honoring our nation's veterans. The nationwide effort involved 2 million volunteers commemorating fallen soldiers, honoring veterans, and educating people about the freedom and the value behind it. Locally, a ceremony took place at Cantonsville, Baltimore's National Cemetery, highlighting the significance of this national resting place just outside the city.
I know that many people have heard of Arlington and they participate in the program and they support Arlington. But I'm here to ask you all to please think about Baltimore National right here in Catonsville, Maryland. Again, we've got over 40,000 veterans and family members in this cemetery. And this year we had less than 25% of support to be able to honor the veterans here.
Well, for more information on the work being done by Wreaths Across America, you can head to wreathsacrossamerica.org or find this story on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Building self-confidence for those struggling to get back into the workforce, how a Baltimore nonprofit is hoping to give former convicts a fresh new look.
I think what we're seeing is disconnection between school and youth and families that occurred during the pandemic.
Fox 45's Project Baltimore team has the numbers parents need to know. Why the latest Maryland school report card is raising yet more red flags for 3 of the state's highest performing school systems. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. The latest Maryland school report card is out, and the news is not good for 3 of the highest performing school districts in our area. As Project Baltimore's Chris Pabst explained, Howard County and Arundel County, those schools saw steep declines this year in school performance.
The Maryland Report Card is an online tool the public can use to see how every school in the state is performing. Parents can go to this website, type in their school's name, and see the data for that school, including test scores, attendance, and graduation rates. Now, based off of those metrics and more, the state awards a star rating to every school, from a low of 1 star to a high of 5. And the state just released the star ratings for this year. Let's start at the top with the best schools. There's roughly 1,300 public schools in the state that are rated. Last year, 215 schools throughout Maryland earned 5 stars, which is the highest rating. This year, just 85 schools earned 5 stars. Baltimore City was the only district in the state to see the number of 5-star schools increase. It went from 1 to 2. Baltimore Polytechnic Institute and the School for the Arts.
We're clearly really proud of those 2 schools, but we also were looking because we had a number of schools that were on the cusp. But it's a proud moment. It's a proud moment for those school communities and a proud moment for the city, but also knowing that we really have a number of schools now that are 4-star that are looking to be 5-star next year.
All other districts in our area saw a drop in the number of 5-star schools this year. Baltimore County has the most in our region with 19 5-star schools. But look at this. Last year, Carroll County had 12 5-star schools. This year, it's down to 1. Howard County had 28 5-star schools. This year, Howard County is down to 12. Anne Arundel County saw an even bigger drop. Last year, Anne Arundel County also had 28 5-star schools. And this year, it's down to just 9. The Maryland State Department of Education said the decline in overall scores this year could be connected to chronic absenteeism. Due to the pandemic, chronic absenteeism was scored differently last year. But this year, the rating system returned to the pre-pandemic normal. And chronic absenteeism rates across the state are high, around 25%.
I think what we're seeing is disconnection between school and youth and families that occurred during the pandemic.
In Baltimore City, 58% of students are chronically absent.
What it's made us do is double down on our outreach, so we've invested more in our outreach to families, to finding young people.
While chronic absenteeism seemed to have significantly reduced the number of 5-star schools, the number of 1-star schools in Maryland also went down, which is a good thing. Last year, 39 Maryland schools earned 1 star, the lowest possible score. This year, that number dropped to 25. Baltimore County had 2 schools that earned 1 star. Anne Arundel County had 1. Howard and Carroll counties didn't have any. Baltimore City had the most at 15, which makes up about 60% of the 1-star schools in the state. While Baltimore City schools saw improvement, it still had by far the lowest performing schools in the state. Coming up on Monday, we'll show you those schools and what's driving their low scores. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
All right, let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. It is going to be one of those days today, especially for heading to the game.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, wet weather scenario throughout the day, right? And actually down where the Ravens are playing tonight, we've got rain in Jacksonville. So that'll be clearing toward game time as things go downhill here, because that same storm in North Florida now will be arriving out of the Carolinas and into Maryland as we go late into the day today and certainly into the night tonight. But you can see a lot of heavy rain already down toward Fayetteville and Charlotte, and all drifting north, headed north into Maryland as we go through the course of the day. In the meantime, misty out ahead of it. The heavy rain comes in tonight into early Monday, and we're talking about some significant rainfall totals, potentially anywhere from 2 to 3+ inches of precipitation before it's all said and done by about 1 o'clock on Monday. So get ready. Keep that umbrella, keep the raincoat, all of it. 46 now, BWI. It is relatively mild, and a bit of an easterly breeze right now ahead of that storm system. Through the day today, we're going to run mild into the mid-50s, but also just cloudy and murky as that rain continues to ramp up through the course of the day. Big picture-wise, you can see
Well, today is the last day of Hyundai's anti-theft software event at M&T Bank Stadium. To help deter carjackings and car theft numbers across the state, the Baltimore County Police Department is providing free anti-theft software updates to Hyundai owners this weekend only, okay? That upgrade's available for people who own a model manufactured between 2011 and 2022 with a turnkey ignition. Owners are also being offered a steering wheel lock as an extra layer of security here. The event continues today at M&T Bank Stadium from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Ravens returning to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Still ahead on Sports Unlimited, the Flock's plan to win the big game. And we are starting off cloudy here with mostly dry weather, but that may change. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart is tracking our next chance for rain. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you on this soggy Sunday. Well, not yet, but we're looking around the region right now, and as you can see, our next weather maker is moving into the state. It's going to be a soggy afternoon for you, which will make it a soggy start to your work week. Prepare yourself just with an umbrella or an extra coat if you're heading out this afternoon. Good morning to you. It's Sunday, December 17th. I'm Taylor Stewart. It's all sunshine in here. Let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. Not so much outside.
Yeah, the studio is nice and bright, but we've already got the mists kind of coming in on the leading edge of the storm system. The main range still well south of us down here towards Charlotte, but this is going to be pressing north as we go through the course of the day, and so get ready. Bottom line, you're correct. The wet weather is due in a big way later this evening, overnight, into the early part of your Monday morning. We're talking 2-3+ inches of rain out of this significant coastal low pressure system. So get ready again for deteriorating weather through the course of the day, you'd have to call it. Temperature's not bad, but the rain chance only goes up every hour that goes by today. We'll talk more about what happens behind the storm system. That's coming up.
Developing this morning, a reaction rolling in from BGE customers over rate hikes. Cumulatively, over the next 3 years, gas and electric bills will heat up to the tune of $408 million. So how much will that cost you? Here's Keith Daniels with a breakdown of the numbers.
If you are a BGE customer, brace yourself. The Maryland Public Service Commission has given BGE the green light to raise rates every year for the next 3 years. The measure approved by the PSC Thursday. Tonight, reaction to the rate hike still coming.
Well, it's concerning because people are struggling right now.
Ryan Coleman is president of the Randallstown NAACP.
I think folk who are in power, and we're not saying that they're not trying to do a good job, but they're just out of touch, out of step with middle-class people and working people.
Coleman admits much may not can be done now since the measure has already passed. But for Coleman, it's about what could come next.
Even though the measure is passed, they'll be asking for another rate hike. There'll be other things that taxpayers will have to pay. And I think that what we're trying to do is sound the alarm that middle-class folks and working folks, we just can't take anymore.
As for the increase, breaking down the numbers, over the next 3 years, customer rates will be heating up to the tune of $408 million. That's still less than the $603 million in rate increases that BGE was requesting from the PSC. As for what that means for you, the PSC claims in 2024, electric customers can expect to see their bills increase just over $4 a month, while gas customers will see a $10 boost. Those increases go down slightly the next 2 years. In total, if you get both gas and electric from BGE, by 2026, you'll be paying about $22 more a month. Some residents outraged by the announcement.
We've talked about moving to Delaware, and a lot of people that I know, family members, have considered moving from Baltimore because the taxes just keep going up and up, it seems like, on everything.
We're retired, and so it's tough, and everybody wants more money all the time. And, it's just not fair. You can only get so much blood out of a turnip. It's just, sometimes there just isn't any more.
Those increases are set to take effect at the start of next month. BGE responding to the rate hike in a statement, saying in part, the order ensures that BGE can continue to provide safe, reliable, and affordable services to our customers while laying the foundation for the grid of the future. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Continuing coverage this morning on congestion concerns from the city's new bike lanes. Some residents argue they're underutilized and clogging up traffic. And now Fox 45 News is opening the books on just how much those bike lanes are costing taxpayers. Jeff Abel has a look at the numbers.
On the newly designed Gwynns Falls Parkway, where traffic is now backed up for blocks.
Who's managing the money?
Residents who fought to keep 2 lanes of traffic here instead of 1 are now fighting mad.
Who's making certain that for every dollar spent, there is a benefit that is tangible to the taxpayer?
Throughout the city, traffic lanes are being eliminated to accommodate bike lanes. But in places like Harford Road, no one is biking.
How many bikes have you seen?
I haven't seen a bike around here since I've been around.
Crews are now redesigning 23 miles of city roadways, ensuring bikers have a lane of their own. Initially, the city projected it would cost up to $6 million, but it turns out the real cost is more than 3 times that much. In documents obtained by Fox 45, the amount of city, state, and federal tax dollars spent on Baltimore's bike lanes so far amounts to $21.1 million. That's enough money to pay for 60 new trash trucks or 5,300 new streetlights.
But I don't think the average person has any idea how much money is being wasted on silly projects that have no impact, no positive impact on the great majority of the people.
And the city is preparing to ramp up its construction of more bike lanes. In another 4 years, the city projects the cost of bike lane construction will soar to $73.3 million.
The average person is going to have a hard time understanding why we aren't rebuilding the important housing stock for people who are already here, and instead we're using money to do bike lanes. It makes no sense at all.
We need the federal government to do what the federal government is supposed to do, and that is to lead and arc.
On Twins Falls, residents insist they were never consulted about this roadway design and were never aware that disruption could cost so much.
And the people who are being affected and victimized by these decisions, these arbitrary and capricious spending of dollars, seem to have no voice. We've been ghosted by government.
The city's goal is to complete 77 miles of bike lanes in the next 4 years. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
We have done some extensive reporting on bike lanes throughout our region and the impact they're having on residents, drivers, and cyclists. You can find our complete coverage online at foxbaltimore.com. From toys to treats, discover the ultimate gift for your pet. Still ahead this morning, a festive pet gifting guide that will help you find the perfect present for your furry friend.
All right, I'm Wyatt Everhart. The clouds already rolling into Maryland on the leading edge of our significant coastal storm. We'll talk about when the rain in earnest arrives and when it gets out of here. It's all coming up.
A long-term lease agreement between the Orioles and the Maryland Stadium Authority is moving forward for a vote on Monday. Now, this deal would keep the Orioles in Baltimore at Camden Yards for at least the next 3 decades. It nearly collapsed amid last-minute pushback from several key lawmakers. We're taking a closer look at the negotiations that have left fans hanging from their seats. A dramatic win, followed by a dramatic announcement lit up on the center field scoreboard. Governor Wes Moore announcing the newly crowned AL East champs were locking in with Birdland fans at Camden Yards for the next 30 years. And the news coming just in time for the December 31st lease expiration. Well, that was September 28th, but in the months following, the fate of the Baltimore Orioles quickly coming into question amid sticking points in a lease agreement that has taken years to hammer out.
The Orioles are a winning team, champions of the AL East.
And the O's want the area around Camden Yards to reflect just that.
And that's been the holdup in these negotiations.
Economist Anirban Basu.
The Orioles are saying we want to develop this. And by the way, if the Orioles generate more revenues from development around the stadium, guess what? Maybe they have the resources to re-sign an Adley Rutschman, a Gunnar Henderson, a Jackson Holiday.
The initial deal would have given the Orioles 99-year development rights of city-owned property.
So you want to give people more things to do, more experiences around the stadium. And that could be restaurants, that could be stores.
But that ask prompting pushback from Senate President Bill Ferguson, whose district includes the stadium, leaving the deal in the balance, inching closer to the deadline. Now, while the governor says a deal is imminent.
This is a 30-year lease, though the Orioles have an opt-out in which they can opt out after 15 years if they don't gain those development rights around the stadium.
It's not exactly clear if that provision will stand in the new lease agreement state regulators will vote on Monday. But Basu says finalizing a deal that cements the Orioles in Baltimore is a win.
Why? Because more economic activity translates into more tax revenues. The Orioles have to keep up. And if the economics around the stadium allow the Orioles to keep up, that's good for fans, of course, it's good for the Orioles, but it's also good for taxpayers.
Look, fans are not holding their breath on this. They want to see this deal get inked, and we're seeing some mixed reaction from Birdland fans. Take a look here. This is like the third temporary lease agreement since September. I'll get excited when I see a pen hits paper. I think we all feel like that. Orioles lease deal looks official. Okay. Another person saying, well, look, my life has been really stressful right now. Can the Orioles please sign the lease so my source of happiness is not also a source of stress? We're all just going to have to wait and see here. All right, well, from threads to transformation, still ahead, how one Baltimore nonprofit is shaping lives beyond clothing. And grab your umbrella today. We've got some rainy days ahead for you in Maryland. Still ahead, how long will this rain stick around? You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local. For those in need of a fresh start, sharp-dressed man in Baltimore City is offering new suits, but they're more than just a change of clothes. In today's Maryland Moment, Rebecca Pryor and photojournalist Nathan Aaron show us how this nonprofit is changing lives.
How does it feel to be in a suit, though? Wonderful. I mean, it's been a while.
They say it's the suit that makes the man.
Makes it real.
But for Johnny Reynolds...
How long has it been since you wore a tie?
1980s. Anything that's not a uniform feels foreign.
Everything is different after going on a long vacation as I did.
Less than a week out.
Everything.
After 37 years behind bars.
That other one's a window pane.
Reynolds knows it's too late to tailor his past.
Right now, 2 buttons is timeless.
Instead, he's being fitted for his future.
Having the guys come through Sharp Dressed Man and get the suit is that first step to helping them sort of break the glass ceiling and get out of their own head and their own image of the way they think people are perceiving them.
Because first impressions are key, especially when your record can precede your resume.
The end goal is that we're helping somebody go to a job interview.
And go to it with confidence. From head.
A lot of people without haircuts, they don't feel good. But something gets somebody's a haircut, it brightens their day. And it makes you feel good. You like it? Good to go?
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
To toe.
Walk right into it, okay?
A decade and 14,000 suits later, the nonprofit, founded by a high-end tailor with just a handful of designer donations, transformed into a one-stop shop for those looking to kickstart a fresh start. completely free of charge.
Good things out here for you, man.
And often, the helping hands coming from someone who truly knows what it's like to walk in their shoes.
It's a hard thing to describe. It's just, you know, you survive the trenches.
Longtime volunteer and board member John Huffington serving 32 years behind bars in the exact same prison as Reynolds.
It shows me that the support that we do have once we get here, the togetherness that we shared on vacation, right? You know, to have that here, you know, you just can't put it in words.
I run into a lot of my friends that are coming home here. It's quite an adjustment. When you can see a familiar face, it's reassuring. And when you can see somebody that you deem successful, then it's also reassuring and encouraging to follow that same path.
Man, get these guys from, man.
The pairing of a new suit
him.
and an old friend, a perfect match for sowing a second chance, one that's already altered how Reynolds looks and feels.
I can't put it into words, for real. The joy, what I'm feeling inside, can't really be expressed. You know, that's how good I feel.
And ultimately,
just relax. I got you.
repairing the fabric of our community.
2F, it's
One sharp-dressed man
job coming.
at a time.
Yeah. Good seeing you, though.
In Baltimore City.
We'll see you soon. Absolutely.
Thank you, John.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Welcome home.
Yes, indeed.
Rebecca Pryor,
Enjoying every minute of it.
Fox 45 News.
Great story there from Rebecca Pryor. Let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart. You know, Wyatt, let's just say we're strapping in for a rainy day. Might be a good idea to watch some Netflix movies, stick with Fox 45, of course, and maybe hang out with the kid at home today.
Yeah, I think
right?
a great football on Fox Day. Because, I mean, we're talking about just like the rain only ramps up as we go forward through this Sunday around here. So definitely a wet weather scenario. Already is one point south of us. I mean, Georgia up into the South Carolina and even southern North Carolina already getting soaked. Most of the heaviest rain just south of Raleigh-Durham still, but that's going to be all drifting northward through Virginia and then into Maryland as we go into the afternoon. So get ready. Already some mist on the leading edge. You don't see the mist on radar, but as we go through the day, look at these rain totals tonight into the early part of Monday. Talking about some spots potentially getting more than 3 inches of rain. Now, thankfully, that'll be spread over many hours, so we don't anticipate significant like flash flood concerns, but there will be quite a bit of rain and quite a bit of ponding in those low-lying areas. You know, it's the usual suspects. So temperatures today are going to be running mild, cloudy. This in no way, shape, or form is a winter storm system. It may be occurring in the winter, but it's a rain and wind event. Already we're seeing the winds pick up a little bit off out of the east, and that's going to continue to bring in the mist for a few more hours ahead of the main event. Main event coming in this afternoon and tonight. So cloudy and murky ahead of it. Then the rain ramps up as we go late day into the night, overnight into Monday morning. Again, just a significant coastal system that really blossomed there in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, soaking Florida. Now north again through the Carolinas and ultimately arriving right here into Maryland. That coastal storm arriving is the big headline, but beyond that, just clearing and windy into our Monday, quite a windy day. Beyond that, a cold shot Tuesday that only lasts for about 48 hours. Then we'll go milder yet again. So overall, a pretty mild setup across the mid-Atlantic today. Cold spot is out in western Maryland, 37, but most points will be well into the 50s today as that deeper moisture begins to arrive out of the south with that storm system, that coastal low pressure area. Looking at soaking rains across the Carolinas for the next few hours and then ultimately into Maryland as we go into Sunday night and early Monday. Still soaking rains around. I think, you know, early morning commuters Monday, we're still talking about a wet start to the day. It does clear out pretty rapidly by midday Monday. And behind the system, you know, the cold air rushes in, could bring in a few flurries to the area first thing on Tuesday. All right, let's check the extended forecast. There it is for you, that main rain event clearing out Monday. And then a cold Tuesday beyond that, just milder and drier as we go into the latter part of the week ahead.
Well, with last year's loss on their mind, the Ravens, they're returning to Jacksonville, making a statement today. How Patrick McQueen and the defense plan to make that happen That's next in Sports Unlimited. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. It's a loss that hurt then and stings a bit extra as the Ravens get set to play the Jags Sunday night. Last year's Week 12 matchup was a game the Ravens should have won, and one that is still fresh in the mind of Patrick Queen, who will do anything in his power to make sure a blown second-half lead doesn't happen this time around in Jacksonville.
I just think that goes back to last year with the sour taste that we left in our mouth from that game last year. So we're looking to improve in every aspect of our defense. We just got to go in there and play our game, play bully football, play Ravens football. Just everybody do their job to the best of their ability. Go in there confident, go in there swinging. We just got to be us, honestly. That's all it's going to take. It's just us being us, us being bullies, us going out there and dominate.
Jags linebacker Josh Allen leads Jacksonville into the Sunday night matchup with the Ravens, and he's had a career season so far, just punishing quarterbacks every chance he gets. Allen is tied for third in the league with 13.5 total sacks, and someone the Ravens will have to have an eye on every time they take an offensive snap.
Right, Josh Allen, usually coming off our left side, we're going to have to count for him in everything we do. But gosh, I mean, the whole front, they got a really good guy on the right side, and they got two guys backing those two guys up that play all the time that are really good too on the edges, and they got two great inside middle linebacker, inside backers, and that front is pretty dominant too. So this is one of the best defenses in the league, and we're getting ready for them.
The Bengals were down without their starting quarterback and in the basement of the AFC North. But despite all of that, Cincinnati's still not out, scratching and clawing with 4 regular season games left entering yesterday. Bengals winners of 2 straight, taking on the Vikings, tied at 17 in the 4th. Nick Mullins rolling out, finds Jordan Addison, 24-17 Minnesota. But with less than a minute to go, Jake Browning and the Bengals driving, looking. T. Higgins up top, climbs the ladder for the catch, and check out the stretch. So we go to OT. That's just great stuff right there. Evan McPherson from 29 yards out walks it off. Bengals win their 3rd straight, 27-24.
It took everybody, players, coaches, crowd. It took everybody, and we found a way to regain the momentum in the 4th quarter. It was tough. I mean, that was as hard fought a game as I've ever been a part of in my entire life.
Steelers entered Saturday, losers of 2 straight, looking to get back in the win column against the Colts. Pittsburgh with a 6-0 lead when Mitch Trubisky finds Deontay Johnson for the 4-yard score. 13-0 Steelers, but they didn't score any more after that. Under 30 seconds to go in the first half. Colts on 0. Gardner Minshew to DJ Montgomery. Go-ahead touchdown, 14-13 Colts. Third quarter, Minshew dealing. This time to Mo Alley Cox. Colts scored 30 unanswered points to hand the Steelers their 3rd straight loss. Mike Tomlin, what's going on, man?
I don't necessarily have the answers as we sit here today. If I had the answers, we'd have played differently today. But I will acknowledge, man, things won't continue the way that they are. We're not going to keep doing the same things that we're doing and expect or hope for a different result. And so we got a 7-day turnaround. We'll see what those 7 days hold for us. But I'm just acknowledging right now that we're playing losing football, and I own that.
Here's a look at the AFC North. The Ravens lead the pack at 10-3. Browns follow at 8-5. Then the Bengals, winners of 3 straight, followed by the Steelers. Ravens sit atop the AFC standings as well. Dolphins second at 9-4. Then the Chiefs, Jags, Browns, and Bengals. With their 3rd straight loss, the Steelers fall to 11th. The postseason honors continue to roll in for the O's as 3 landed on the All-MLB team. Felix Bautista and Adley Rutschman were both named to the 1st team, while Kyle Bradish was named to the 2nd team. In college basketball action, both Towson and Loyola on the road. Tigers fall to Bryant in double OT. Dylan Williamson had a team-high 18. Charles Thompson, 10-6. Tigers dropped to 5-6 on the year. Greyhounds hung in there with George Mason. Deion Perry dropped 13, but it's the Patriots taking this one 62-54. Loyola has now lost 9 straight games. That's going to do it for your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Sunday.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. A live look around our region. Oh, and Ocean City there. Well, the next weather maker is moving into the state. It's going to be a soggy afternoon, which will make it a soggy start to your work week. So just prepare yourself with an umbrella or an extra coat if you're heading out, or stay in. Stick with us here at Fox 45 Morning News, and we're going to be here all day long. It's December 17th. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and get off to your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what we're expecting later today. I mean, the Ravens are going to be in Jacksonville. It looks like they're already starting to see some rain down there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it. It's interesting. The storm will be leaving Florida as they take the field tonight, so that's good news for maybe fans who traveled to Jacksonville for the game. Meanwhile, back here in Maryland, we're going to be soaked by the same system by this evening. So, yeah, tale of kind of two scenarios as we go forward in time here. Misty this morning, but not much rain, yet by the time we get into the early to middle part of the afternoon, the rain will be ramping up, and there are aerial flood watches up for at least the eastern 2/3 of the state, because we think throughout the event we could get more than 3 inches of total precipitation by early Monday. Big system coming in out of the south, and again, it has already soaked Florida, but tracking up the eastern seaboard and in our direction as we go through the day. So look for rain ramping up through the course of the day. We'll talk about when the whole thing gets out of here and what comes next. That's straight ahead.
Think about it, if you're at a light and somebody comes up to you with a gun and gunpoint with you and want to take your car. Not only have they just devastated you, but can you imagine what you might be going through for the rest of your life?
Continuing coverage this morning on a Southwest Baltimore gathering to discuss juvenile crime. Mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon, as you saw, was part of that conversation. And Vincent Hill has more on why she believes the collaboration between two top prosecutors is key to curtailing the uptick in juvenile violence.
Inside the Merle Park Community Center, a prayer.
God, we are losing so many of our children and our family members, God, that we're asking that you rain down on this city, God.
Amen. And a discussion about juvenile violence.
What we got right now? Carjackings, strong arm robberies.
In attendance, one of the relatives of a juvenile you first heard about on Fox 45.
So I have a cousin. He's in Dreary now. It was on the news 2 weeks ago. They robbed and jacked a woman for her car. They had a gun in the car. They caught him around Mondana.
Also in attendance,
But you got my vote.
mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon.
In this upcoming session that's about to happen at the legislators based on all this juvenile crime,
Touching on the upcoming legislative session focused on juvenile crime.
now people are taking a hard stance on juveniles. Not only about making them accountable, but they want to see a hard response happen to these juveniles.
Two of the people taking that hard stance.
What could we do united to, hopefully fix the problems that we're suffering together?
Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates and Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Braveboy.
I think it's a really good beginning and a good strategy and plan moving forward. And I think now is the time to really educate the community about what they are attempting to do and making and tweaking some of the legislation.
Dixon calling the collaboration between Bates and Braveboy beneficial.
And I think it only can benefit us long term in trying to deal with the accountability with our juveniles.
Well, Bates and Braveboy are proposing a number of changes on how the state handles juvenile crime. They want to increase probation for teens charged with gun possession and/or car theft. They also want DJS to notify the courts immediately when a young person on home monitoring violates probation. Ivan Bates specifically saying he wants to change that Child Interrogation Protection Act. This law requires an attorney to approve law enforcement questioning of a juvenile, even if the parent gives an okay, but it's a remote process. He wants an attorney to be physically present during the questioning. Both prosecutors acknowledge there will likely not be many changes. The Juvenile Justice Reform Act, which prevents kids 13 and younger from facing most charges. Despite that, they're confident other changes will be successful.
Do you think there'll be support and appetite to make these changes in the General Assembly?
I think so. I think that a lot of the topics that we're hitting on are near and dear to many of our legislators, and they should be, because they're near and dear to our constituents.
At the end of the day, we serve the people. And this isn't just what we want. This is what the people have told us they want.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in the chairman for the People for Elected Accountability, Giovanni Patterson. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Taylor.
There's a lot of changes in these packages, but the pairs quickly identified a lot of gaps in the juvenile justice system, namely the length of probation, saying it's not long enough to complete the programs needed for rehabilitation, and also making sure the courts are notified when a young person violates home monitoring. We've seen several instances where that has not happened. Why do you think that's important?
Well, you have to face consequences for the actions you commit, right? With the leadership that we have in place, especially being all black leadership, Ms. Braveboy made the comment that a lot of the perpetrators look like us, as well as a lot of the victims look like us. And when you have that, with all black leadership, or specifically largely black leadership in Baltimore, there was an opportunity right now really to say, hey, we care about these kids. And when we show that we care about these kids, there's that verse in Proverbs that says, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child, but if you chase the children, right, if you correct the children, that's how you show that you love them and you care for them. So we do have an opportunity now, and it's important to show the kids that, there are certain activities, that aren't tolerated.
Right. And right now, children 13 and under cannot face any charges, basically, if it's the misdemeanor. And they're trying to make some tweaks right now to that charge to make sure that criminals aren't able to take advantage of the young people who ultimately don't have consequences for this. They want to make sure kids who have guns, transport guns, or in a car that is not theirs, do have some sort of repercussions. But we're talking about kids 13 years old and younger. Is this an overreach or a necessity?
Well, look, first things start in the home, and a lot of times, some of these kids aren't getting the needed support or necessary support at home, and that's where the community, and then by extension law enforcement and the government comes in. But we have to show these kids that we care about them. But it's not really an overreach. You don't want to be oppressive in it, but you do have to take the necessary steps. The criminal element knows exactly what the laws are, right? The criminal element knows how to get around it, and that's why I think you do see the rise in juvenile violence and those type of things, because they know the law, right? If you go on the streets, they can tell you what the law is. So if we want to show again that we care about these kids, we have to take corrective action.
I want to go back to a point that you raised earlier. The Prince George's County State's Attorney, along with the Baltimore City State's Attorney, they're coming together as a unified pair to propose this package the next session. What do you think it says that we have, as you've mentioned, two of arguably the most powerful top prosecutors in our state coming forward and pushing for these changes?
Well, it's going back to, what Ivan Bates said there is that it's what the people want, right? And I think that's an important point to remember, because one, we've elected these officials in, and a big reason was, hey, we need to do something about the crime and violence that's going on in our city. And I think now you need to see that same support, a lot across the legislatures, right? And if we're not seeing that from our legislatures, what does that say about, those people that are holding those particular office? They're not working in the interests of the people as well. So there needs to be changes, whether it's voting them out, removing them from office, those type of things. So if they're not working for the interests of the people as well, we need some different people in those positions.
All right. Well, Bates did have some success last session testifying, so maybe we'll see that this will move forward.
Absolutely. That's the hope.
We'll keep our eyes out. All right. Thank you so much, Giovanni.
Thank you.
BGE customers, brace yourselves for some higher bills. FOX45 is breaking down how much more you'll pay over the next 3 years as reaction continues to roll in.
All right, weather-wise, we're tracking our next storm system making its run up the coast and into Maryland. Already misty out there. Heavy rain coming later today and into the day on Monday. We'll have all the details what comes next after this break.
trending this morning, Baltimore joined the national Wreaths across America to honor our nation's veterans. The nationwide effort involved 2 million volunteers to commemorate fallen soldiers, honor veterans, and educate folks about the value of freedom. Locally, a ceremony took place at Cantonsville Baltimore National Cemetery, highlighting the significance of this national resting place just outside the city.
I know that many people have heard of Arlington and they participate in the program and they support Arlington. But I'm here to ask you all to please think about Baltimore National right here in Catonsville, Maryland. Again, we've got over 40,000 veterans and family members in this cemetery. And this year we had less than 25% of support to be able to honor the veterans here.
Well, for more information on the work being done by Wreaths Across America, you can head to wreathsacrossamerica.org, or you can find this story on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Building self-confidence for those getting back into the workforce, how a Baltimore nonprofit is giving hope to former convicts with a fresh look and a fresh outlook on life.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. Coming up, we unpack Capitol Hill lawmakers' latest attempt to punish universities for rising anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Well, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are upset with Harvard's response to rising anti-Semitism. And now they're threatening to pull billions of dollars worth of federal funding from the school. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the latest.
Each year, Harvard receives billions of dollars courtesy of the federal government through direct tax payments, tax breaks, and federal student loans. That money under threat by lawmakers upset with the school's apparent failure to address rising anti-Semitism on campus since the Israel-Hamas war broke out on October 7th. Florida Senator Rick Scott demanding an immediate vote on a bill to rescind federal funding from schools that peddle anti-Semitism or authorize, fund, or facilitate events that promote violent anti-Semitism. If passed, it would be a hard blow to universities. Scott's bill is a direct reaction to last week's hearing in the House, where the presidents of Harvard, UPenn, and MIT fumbled through whether or not calling for the genocide of Jews was against their university codes of conduct.
The world watched and the world heard
their answers in horror.
UPenn's President Liz McGill resigned amid the backlash following the hearing. Harvard and MIT's presidents will keep their jobs for now. House lawmakers planning to introduce their own bill to defund institutions like Harvard over the issue. On Wednesday, the House passed a bipartisan resolution condemning the president's testimonies and condemning anti-Semitism at American colleges.
We clearly have tremendous work ahead of us, Mr. Speaker, to address this rot of anti-Semitism that is now rooted in our once premier higher education institutions.
Not all lawmakers voted for the measure.
We need to do everything the law allows to address anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. This resolution is not a serious effort to advance that cause.
Meanwhile, the Department of Education adding 6 more colleges to the growing list of schools under investigation for rising instances of anti-Semitism, anti-Arab, and anti-Muslim discrimination on campus. UCLA, Stanford, and Rutgers among those just added. Harvard and UPenn were already on the list. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
All right, if you haven't peeked out your window yet, maybe don't. Just grab the coffee. Stay with us. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with what we're working with right now and what's to come.
Yeah, Taylor, I mean, look, it's one of those days, right? Soaker, rain out, whatever you want to call it. It's already misty this morning, but rain will be ramping up. I can assure you that as we go into the afternoon and evening. Core of that system is still just south of Maryland. Rain now edging out of North Carolina into southern Virginia. The core of the heaviest rain still south of Fayetteville. Whole system, again, tracking northward as we go through the day and into the night tonight. We'll look for that rain to overspread Maryland, and some significant rain totals are likely. I mean, we're talking 2 to 3+ inches potentially in many spots. That's why we have an aerial flood watch up, just to, watch those low-lying areas as we get the soaking rains in here. Obviously, it can pond, and we can have some pooling of water in areas. 46 right now, I should say, at BWI. This is in no way, shape, or form is a true winter storm system. This is a coastal storm, something we see more reminiscent typically in like November. Rain and wind, that's going to be our story. The wind's already ramping up a little bit out of the east. As we go through the day, rain ramps up. Winds will also come up later tonight and especially into the day on Monday. So again, it's a wet weather scenario. It is a large coastal storm system and tremendous amount of rain coming in with us. However, what I will say is behind this storm, we've got multiple days of relatively quiet weather. So yes, coastal storm making its presence felt late today into the day on Monday. Early morning commuters still going to be facing some rain, but clearing out through the day on Monday. And then we're really just looking clear from Tuesday and beyond. Not much cold air anywhere in the central mid-Atlantic, central East Coast, even all the way out to Cleveland there at 47 degrees. So you see why this is not a winter storm event. This is just a coastal storm event primarily. A deeper moisture running north into Maryland as we go through the day, and the core of the system itself tracking through the state and clearing the state as we go into Monday afternoon. So let's break it down for you here on Future Scan. Again, that system tracking steadily northward as we go through the day today. Rain arrives in earnest after about 3, 4 o'clock. Soaking rains tonight, soaking rains overnight into early. Monday, finally clearing things out by about lunchtime on Monday. And then behind that, really just cold air funneling in, possibly bringing a few snow flurries to the state early Tuesday morning. But that would be it. After that, we go milder and drier from Wednesday into Thursday, even pushing back to 50 degrees or so toward the end of this coming week. But in the meantime, just be ready for a lot of rain coming in late today and to Monday.
Well, Maryland basketball had a rough start to the season, losing 3 games in a row. However, the Terps turns things around, winning 5 out of their last 6 games. And junior big man Julian Reese has been a significant contributor. Rocco DeSangro spoke with Reese on what's been working so well in his 3rd season at College Park.
The mindset thing. I've been doing the same things I did every off season. Just working hard every day and getting better at the weaknesses I have. But this offseason is really like a mindset thing and just stepping into that leader role. And I feel like I can up those numbers a little bit more and just impact the team in a better way.
As far as the team goes, you guys are coming off a trip to the NCAA tournament in Coach Willard's first season at the helm. What are the goals for this team in 2023-24?
Definitely to win it all. I feel like that's a goal coming in every team or every season. They just win that national championship and put that banner in your school gym. But to build on that, we gotta get through the adversity and fight through things we've been lacking, and just build on different things.
You talk about that adversity. You guys kind of faced some of it early on in the season, losing 3 of your first 4 games to start. What did you guys learn about yourselves as a team during that streak, and kind of how were you able to build off that going forward? Because you've seen some success as of late.
Yeah, we just learned to stay together. As the season went on, we learned each other's traits and each other's strengths and weaknesses, and able to play with each other even more better.
Baltimore County Police and Hyundai teaming up to tackle carjackings. Still ahead, the free software update that'll protect you and your car. And a long-term lease agreement to keep the O's at Camden Yards is moving forward, but fans say they'll believe it when they see it. We'll tell you why just ahead. You're watching FOX45 Morning News, all local, all morning. All right, look, today's the last day of Hyundai's anti-theft software event at M&T Bank Stadium. To help deter carjackings and car thefts across the state, the Baltimore County Police Department is teaming up with the car maker to provide free anti-software updates to all Hyundai owners this weekend. Well, the upgrade is available for people who own a model manufactured between 2011 and 2022 with a turnkey ignition. Owners are also being offered a steering wheel lock as an extra layer of security. This event continues today at M&T Bank Stadium, started about 30 minutes ago, and goes until 2 p.m. All right, here's a look at today's Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Noki.
Not today, man. Dead car batteries. Every single time you're trying to get out of the house on time, be someplace, it happens. That click, click, click. Or you're on the side of the road on a gray, cold, dark day like today. It's never fun. But I have the answer for you. It's called the Jump Smart, and it can get you back on the road quickly. Watch this. Plug the 2 alligator clips in right here. Red clamp to red on the battery. Black to black, I get a beep and a green light, and now I can start my car back up. just like that. I don't have to wait for roadside assistance or anybody else to come and help me out. I keep a Jump Smart in every family member's car. My daughters have one, my wife has one, and I know I have peace of mind, and so do they. It's also a 10-in-1 tool. It's got a compass, a thermometer, it's a flashlight and a strobe light, many other tools as well. And my favorite part, you can charge your cell phone with the 2 included USB ports on the back. If you lose power in a storm or something, just plug your phone in and you can stay connected with family and friends. Speaking of them, put one in every family member's car. 31% off right now at asadeals.com.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning to you. We're taking a look throughout Maryland right now, around the region, and it's a little dreary, a little foggy, and our next weather maker is moving in. So expect a soggy afternoon, which will make for a soggy start to your work week. But hey, just stick with us here. Have that umbrella, have that extra coat, and have that smile. Thanks for being with us December 17th, this glorious Sunday. I'm Taylor Stewart. Let's go ahead and jump into your forecast. Meteorologist Wyatt Everhart with the storm that's already brewing right where the Ravens seem to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of us will be watching the Ravens later tonight on TV, of course, and there'll be soaking rains around here. In the meantime, weather's slowly but surely improving down toward Jacksonville, where the Ravens will be playing. Storm coming out of North Florida into the Carolinas now and tracking up into Virginia and Maryland as we go into the afternoon. Aerial flood watch is up because we're talking 3+ inches of rain out of this system between late this afternoon and midday Monday. So yes, a wet weather scenario thanks to a really strong coastal low pressure area running north and into Maryland. Through the day, mild, mid-50s, but also rain ramping up steadily through the course of the day. We'll talk about what comes behind the storm, what we can expect for this week. It's all coming up.
Developing this morning, a reaction rolling in from BGE customers over rate hikes. Cumulatively, over the next 3 years, gas and electric bills will heat up to the tune of $408 million. So how much will it cost you? Here's Keith Daniels with the breakdown.
If you are a BGE customer, brace yourself. The Maryland Public Service Commission has given BGE the green light to raise rates every year for the next 3 years. The measure approved by the PSC Thursday. Tonight, reaction to the rate hike still coming.
Well, it's concerning because people are struggling right now.
Ryan Coleman is president of the Randallstown NAACP.
I think folk who are in power, and we're not saying that they're not trying to do a good job, but they're just out of touch, out of step with middle-class people and working people.
Coleman admits much may not can be done now since the measure has already passed. But for Coleman, it's about what could come next.
Even though the measure is passed, they'll be asking for another rate hike. There'll be other things that taxpayers will have to pay. And I think that what we're trying to do is sound the alarm that middle-class folks and working folks, we just can't take anymore.
As for the increase, breaking down the numbers, over the next 3 years, customer rates will be heating up to the tune of $408 million. That's still less than the $603 million in rate increases that BGE was requesting from the PSC. As for what that means for you, the PSC claims in 2024, electric customers can expect to see their bills increase just over $4 a month, while gas customers will see a $10 boost. Those increases go down slightly the next 2 years. In total, if you get both gas and electric from BGE, by 2026, you'll be paying about $22 more a month. Some residents outraged by the announcement.
We've talked about moving to Delaware, and a lot of people that I know, family members, have considered moving from Baltimore because the taxes just keep going up and up, it seems like, on everything.
We're retired, and so it's tough, and everybody wants more money all the time. And, it's just not fair. You can only get so much blood out of a turnip. It's just, sometimes there just isn't any more.
Those increases are set to take effect at the start of next month. BGE responding to the rate hike in a statement, saying in part, the order ensures that BGE can continue to provide safe, reliable, and affordable services to our customers while laying the foundation for the grid of the future. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Continuing coverage this morning on congestion concerns from the city's new bike lanes. Some residents argue they're underutilized and clogging up traffic. And now Fox 45 News is opening the books on just how much those bike lanes are costing taxpayers. Jeff Abel has a look at the numbers.
On the newly designed Gwynns Falls Parkway, where traffic is now backed up for blocks.
Who's managing the money?
Residents who fought to keep 2 lanes of traffic here instead of 1 are now fighting mad.
Who's making certain that for every dollar spent, there is a benefit that is tangible to the taxpayer?
Throughout the city, traffic lanes are being eliminated to accommodate bike lanes. But in places like Harford Road, no one is biking.
How many bikes have you seen?
I haven't seen a bike around here since I've been around.
Crews are now redesigning 23 miles of city roadways, ensuring bikers have a lane of their own. Initially, the city projected it would cost up to $6 million, but it turns out the real cost is more than 3 times that much. In documents obtained by Fox 45, the amount of city, state, and federal tax dollars spent on Baltimore's bike lanes so far amounts to $21.1 million. That's enough money to pay for 60 new trash trucks or 5,300 new streetlights.
But I don't think the average person has any idea how much money is being wasted on silly projects that have no impact, no positive impact on the great majority of the people.
And the city is preparing to ramp up its construction of more bike lanes. In another 4 years, the city projects the cost of bike lane construction will soar to $73.3 million.
The average person is going to have a hard time understanding why we aren't rebuilding the important housing stock for people who are already here. Instead, we're using money to do bike lanes. It makes no sense at all.
We need the federal government to do what the federal government is supposed to do, and that is to lead and arc.
On Gwynns Falls, residents insist they were never consulted about this roadway design and were never aware that disruption could cost so much.
And the people who are being affected and victimized by these decisions, these arbitrary and capricious spending of dollars, seem to have no voice. We've been ghosted by government.
The city's goal is to complete 77 miles of bike lanes in the next 4 years. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 News has done extensive reporting reporting on bike lanes throughout the region and the impact they're having on residents, drivers, and cyclists. You can find our complete coverage online at foxbaltimore.com. From toys to treats, discover the ultimate gift for your pet. Still ahead this morning, the festive pet giving guide that will help you find the perfect present for your furry friend.
Perfect, right? Hey, take a look at the setup here. We've got mist and clouds coming into Maryland already. The heavy rain knocking on the door coming out of Carolinas into Virginia on its way to Maryland later today. We'll detail the impacts right after this.
A long-term lease agreement between the Orioles and the Maryland Stadium Authority is moving forward for a vote tomorrow. Now, this deal would keep the O's in Baltimore at Camden Yards for at least the next 3 decades. It nearly collapsed, though, amid last-minute pushback from several key lawmakers. We're taking a closer look at the negotiations that have left fans hanging from their seats. A dramatic win, followed by a dramatic announcement lit up on the center field scoreboard. Governor Wes Moore announcing the newly crowned AL East champs were locking in with Birdland fans at Camden Yards for the next 30 years. And the news coming just in time for the December 31st lease expiration. Well, that was September 28th, but in the months following, the fate of the Baltimore Orioles quickly coming into question amid sticking points in a lease agreement that has taken years to hammer out.
The Orioles are a winning team, champions of the AL East.
And the O's want the area around Camden Yards to reflect just that.
And that's been the holdup in these negotiations.
Economist Anirban Basu.
The Orioles are saying we want to develop this. And by the way, if the Orioles generate more revenues from development around the stadium, guess what? Maybe they have the resources to re-sign an Adley Rutschman, a Gunnar Henderson, a Jackson Holliday.
The initial deal would have given the Orioles 99-year development rights of city-owned property.
So you want to give people more things to do, more experiences around the stadium. And that could be restaurants, that could be stores.
But that ask prompting pushback from Senate President Bill Ferguson, whose district includes the stadium, leaving the deal in the balance, inching closer to the deadline. Now, while the governor says a deal is imminent.
This is a 30-year lease. though the Orioles have an opt-out in which they can opt out after 15 years if they don't gain those development rights around the stadium.
It's not exactly clear if that provision will stand in the new lease agreement state regulators will vote on Monday. But Basu says finalizing a deal that cements the Orioles in Baltimore is a win.
Why? Because more economic activity translates into more tax revenues. The Orioles have to keep up. And if the economics around the stadium allow the Orioles to keep up, that's good for fans, of course, it's good for the Orioles, but it's also good for taxpayers.
From threads to transformation, still ahead how one Baltimore nonprofit is shaping lives beyond just clothing. And boy, you better grab your umbrellas. We've got some rainy days ahead for you, Maryland. Still ahead, how long the rain's gonna stick around. Won't you stick around? You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. All right, well, Christmas pretty much just here. It is a week away, and it's not too late, though, to find a perfect gift for your pets this holiday season. To help us find the perfect pet for your beloved dog or cat, we've got Charlotte Reed. Good morning to you, Charlotte.
Good morning, Taylor. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Good morning. So what are good gift ideas for your dog?
Well, first of all, this is Churchill. He's my 6-year-old English toy spaniel, and he's my Santa's little helper for today.
Hi, Churchill.
Say hi. So basically, you want to buy gifts that serve a purpose, not what you want, but what your dog wants and what your dog needs. Okay, so let's start out with treats. You know, dogs are foodies because I believe you have a dog. They love food. So buy food products and treats that are good for your dog. So I have Tevra Brand's Colawags, and actually they're packed with collagen, which is great for connective tissue and joints. And we also have Boone Treats, which is also by Tevra Brands. And what I love about them, they're made with superfoods. So you've got your antioxidants in there, you've got your prebiotics. So treats that are taste good, like, for example, Colawags are flavored with peanut butter, but you want those good treats, those healthy treats that is going to help your pets perform in 2024. Okay, let's start. Go ahead.
And I also saw we had a little pull down, some dog clothing.
Yeah, dog clothing. You know, bright colored jackets. According to AccuWeather, we're going to have big snow this winter season. So you want to have bright colored jackets and sweaters. I like oranges, things that you can see if your pet gets away in the snow. You'll be able to see an orange or a teal green. The other thing is I like a nice red cable knit sweater because a cable red knit sweater will get you all the way to Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So that's why I like a red knit sweater. The other thing, older dogs, snuggle puppies are great. Snuggle puppies actually have a heartbeat, and the heartbeat's right here. You put it in. They're warming for older dogs that have difficult sleeping. I don't know if you could hear this. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Well, anyway, this is the heart. It goes right into it, and they all snuggle together. I have an older dog, and sometimes he wanders at night, but with a warm snuggle puppy, he stays calm. He also stays in his bed. Other thing, toys. What dog doesn't like toys? And especially those adolescent dogs. So I actually bought some Playology toys. One is a tug of war game for those bigger dogs like those Rottweilers, Weimaraners that like to tug of war. It's bright, it's chew. Also, there's also a fetch toy right here somewhere. And I like to play fetch with our retrievers because you want to get them running and moving. And even during the winter months, you could still play tug of war and fetch in the house.
And Charlotte, we could do dogs all day, but we have to ask, what about cats? Are there any gifts for them?
Cats are great. Dogs and cats both like puzzle toys. It's great exercise, mental and physical stimulation, as well as lick mats. Lick mats redirect energy, and they're great. I bought one for a dog that actually goes in a crate and one for a cat that has different levels. I'll give you an example. When you open a can of tuna, you know that liquid in the bottom of tuna and water? There's about a quarter cup in there. You can put that on a lick mat and have your cat enjoy. Also, cats like to use their natural instincts. They like to jump. They like to pounce. So I bought some fishing pole toys. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that it's a good idea to have different type of lures. Some cats like feathers, and some cats like the movement of like a worm type of toy. So it's important to have both because cats are really picky, as you know. Once again, great puzzle toys. Balls like this. Balls are great like this because you can store them in catnip. You can also throw them around the house. They can play by themselves. But this little toy comes with a gun, and you can shoot it around the house and play with your cat. You know, there's so many great toys for dogs and cats that you really just want to be able to find things that really are going to enhance their lives based on their natural instincts. And I think that's the best toys that you can actually buy. And everything on this table probably costs anywhere from about $5 to about $27. And last but not least, you have to have the luxury throw blanket.
Oh my,
now,
that might be nice for the entire family.
Right. Not only for the entire family, but you want to find a blanket that matches in with your decor. And actually, it's snuggly for the pet. Like you said, you and your pet can snuggle this holiday season while watching a Christmas movie. But I like it because it's strong, it's machine washable, and it's great for those claws. So, and last but not least, Taylor, now you look like an ice cream girl to me, correct?
Absolutely.
You love your ice cream? Okay, well, we've got some pup scoops right here. Maple bacon and Christmas cookie for your dog. So while you're snuggling up in the blanket, you can enjoy that Christmas cookie or that maple bacon ice cream flavor. All you have to do is add water, freeze, and then you already have a bowl. You're ready to go. Your dog's going to enjoy some ice cream, some canned ice cream this holiday season.
So many great gift ideas. Charlotte, Reed, thank you so much for joining us. We're running out of time, but definitely throwing a few of these in my cart. Thank you.
Welcome. Happy Christmas.
Happy holidays. All right, let's go ahead and get over to meteorologist Wyatt Everhart because, boy, it's looking like we are moving into that time of year where it gets a little dreary, but this is the perfect time to just get some hot cocoa, really get that throw blanket, hang out with the family. I mean, that's a system moving through.
Yeah, I mean, look, later today in particular, indoor weather is to say the least. And it's mainly because we're already seeing the mist on the leading edge of the system, but the heaviest rain is still confined to points basically south of Raleigh-Durham. But that's going to be steadily overspreading Virginia and then overspreading Maryland later on today, tonight, and into early Monday. So we end up in spots potentially with more 3 inches of rain out of the storm system. That's why we do have some aerial flood advisories up just to keep on those low-lying areas. 3 inches of rain even over a prolonged period of hours. That's a lot of precipitation. Temperatures now running mild in the mid to upper 40s on an east breeze. Now that's the other factor here. All the rain coming in. The wind will also be ramping up quite a bit tonight and certainly into the day on Monday. Very windy start to the week. But in the meantime, just looking for rain to increase and ramp up through the course of the day. We're already starting out murky. The coastal storm arriving tonight. After that, it's about a clearing and windy scenario late Monday and then into Tuesday. really clear and colder, and even a few flurries could fly around here to start the day on Tuesday. Otherwise, again, it's a mild scenario across the mid-Atlantic. It's the reason this is not a winter storm event for the most part. This is a rain event, rain and wind. As that deeper moisture rolls in out of the south, we're certainly going to see those impacts. And as we take a look at the overall setup here, that storm system tracking steadily eastward and northeastward into Maryland as we go, especially into later on tonight. I mean, that is soaking rain coming down late tonight, and that will linger into early Monday morning. After that, we're going to clear it out. Just a few snow flurries coming in behind the system on Tuesday, so relatively dry behind that storm. And dry for quite a few days to come. And look at the trend here, several days in the 50-degree range. No precipitation at all, really, after those flurries on Tuesday anywhere in the outlook. But, of course, we'll check the 10-day forecast, including Christmas. That's coming up.
Well, just a reminder, today is your last day of the Hyundai anti-theft software event at M&T Bank Stadium. It's going to help you deter carjackers and car thefts throughout the state. Here now, Baltimore County Police, they're teaming up with a car maker to provide free anti-theft software updates. This includes all cars made from with a model manufactured between 2011 to 2022 with a ignition with a turnkey. Owners are also being offered a steering wheel lock as an extra layer of security. The event continues until 2 p.m. today. A new study revealing the top 10 states at risk of cybercrime, in Maryland made the top 3. The study, conducted by experts at Network Builds, examined annual FBI internet crime reports from 2018 to 2022. Maryland is the 3rd state with the highest risk of cyber attacks. According to the data, Maryland saw more than 50,000 cyber attacks between the years of 2018 to 2022. If you break down, that's more than 900 attacks per 100,000 people. The study estimates Marylanders have lost more than, oh my goodness, $479 million from cyber attacks. Okay, brace yourself for a soggy, maybe dreary start to your weekend, but meteorologist Wyatt Everhart's bringing all the sunshine. Not really, but he is going to tell you how your work week's shaping up. Stick with us at Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. Well, look at that shot. Right now, obviously, it looks dry, no rain to see as we look live over Ocean City. But that certainly could change pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, actually, along the coast there is like the clear spot. I mean, they have pretty good visibility down in OC right now. But, you know, look, it's not going to last because Ocean City, just like the rest of the state's about to get soaked by this big coastal storm, Taylor. And we've been talking about it for quite a while now, and it's coming in later today, and there's no stopping it. But we will clear it out pretty quickly by, say, lunchtime Monday. We should be going clear, and you know, after that, it's just kind of a cool, dry stretch into the midweek. So, by the way, looking toward Christmas right now, I think we're going to be like in the low 50s. Doesn't look like any major weather on the board yet. So, just to give you a little idea, planning toward Christmas weekend.
You know, I don't mind this rain. I'm excited it's coming, actually, because then we've got these clear days leading up to Christmas. You know, at the time everyone's running at that last-minute thing, traveling to see grandma, getting where you got to go.
Yeah, you don't want big travel headaches like the day before Christmas Eve and things like that. It gets, gets to be a headache.
So we'll take our little headache today, and we're not mad at it because guess what? Fox 45 News is going to be here until 10:30. We're coming back, and then it's Fox Sports. We've got the Ravens playing in Jacksonville.